Dare Show. This is the Dr. Dare Show live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We just got started. When you come in, please click share and like. And we always have a good time. We welcome all opinions. There's no wrong opinion. You can have your opinion. We're not going to try to change it. We have two good topics tonight. Since we've been in this pandemic probably now for almost 2 years, I thought there should be a check-in on how we're coping with it, right? So number one is, how have you been coping with the pandemic and the death of so many people? Let's discuss and talk about some of the coping skills that we can use. And number two, um, so many healthcare workers and other workers are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. What are your thoughts? Is this fair? These are the two questions that we will be talking to tonight. We will get started momentarily. I always like to give people a chance to come in and get situated, grab a drink, grab your snacks, your dinner, whatever, and just get ready to chat with us. Don't be afraid to talk. We like all opinions. You can check in and tell me how your week has been, how you're feeling, what your mood is, and we'll get started talking about these two topics. My week has been pretty good. It went by kind of fast. I have been busy. I have been seeing about, I say, 16 clients a week in private practice and teaching two college courses and doing a full-time job and teaching Zumba classes. So pretty busy. My week goes by fast and I love it. I love everything that I do. That's the good part of it. So check in and let me know how you're feeling. Again, we will start probably like 8:40. If you know you've been on the show before, we usually start then. We give people a chance to get in and share. Hey Karen, hola, ¿cómo está? Dr. Dare, happy you have had a great week. How was your week, Karen? Yeah, I haven't seen you, Karen, in like 2 or 3 weeks. So boot camp tomorrow with Mike, right? So I'm going to be sharing this. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just coming on, we have two good topics that we're going to talk about tonight. Like I said, we've been in this pandemic thing for a while now, almost 2 years, and I just wanted to do a check in to see how people are feeling, how they're coping with everything that's going on. So the number one question is, how have you been coping with the pandemic and the death of so many people? Let's discuss and talk about some coping skills that you're using, and then some that we can create here on the show. And number two, so many healthcare workers and other workers are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. And so I wanted to ask the question, what do you think about that? What are your thoughts? Is this fair? And again, we welcome all opinions. We're not trying to force anything on anybody. I don't do that. Hey, Tanisha, welcome, welcome, welcome. Tanisha got her new hairdo. I posted pictures on her. Karen, you said you had a great week. Busy, 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 but great. Yes, boot camp tomorrow. Tomorrow, 9:15, Piedmont Park. If you want to join us, Mike will be there to keep us busy. Yeah. So let me share while we're sitting here. You can come in and check in with each other. Um, yes. And so let me get this shared. Welcome, 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 everybody. We welcome you to come in and give your opinion on how you're feeling about the pandemic and all that stuff. But we haven't started yet. We'll start at 5:40 because I wanted to do a check-in. We did talk about the pandemic stuff when it first happened 2 years ago, and so now we're just kind of doing a check-in to see how everybody's doing. And since there's a vaccination out there, we wanted to kind of talk about, these new mandates and how everybody's feeling about them. So let me share this when I find it. So hopefully everybody had a great week. Like I said earlier, before anybody got on, I had a great one. It went by kind of fast because I was so busy. It's like with the pandemic, people's anxiety gets, they'll think they're okay for a while, and then when there's some new outbreak or something that triggers a lot of anxiety in people. And so that's why I felt like it's a good time to do a check-in too. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for to share this live. Okay, there we go. Yeah, let's share. So hopefully everybody's having a good night. Um, I have been posting t-shirts, the Dr. Dare shirt, this one that I have on. If you're interested in just wearing it around just because it's cute and you want to look cute, they're $20. If you do want one, just inbox me and I will get you straight. Yes, and I posted this invitation for the show tonight on my TikTok page finally. Um, because I do have a lot of people. Karen Tanisha saying hello. So yeah, so we look like we had a good crowd. Give it a few minutes. We usually start at 8:40, and so we will start then. Hold on a second. Hold one sec. Hold 1 minute. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm back. See, that was quick. I just forgot my notes in the other room on this topic that I had looked up earlier. So we will start in 4 minutes. It's been a quiet week. Not a lot of stuff on the news. Of course, they're still talking about Gabby Petito. They're still trying to find Brian Laundrie. That has been a big deal. Um, still uh, no Brian. They still haven't found him, so that's strange. But what I've noticed, and I don't know if y'all have noticed this, but there has been a lot of missing people lately. What's up with that? It's really scary. So please be careful when you're walking out by yourself. Make sure you're looking at your surroundings. Don't create habits. I know we have a we usually do the same. We're creatures of habit, so we usually do the same thing every day. Let's switch that up. So if you go down one road every day, switch that up. Go down a different road. You never know who's watching you. You never know who's trying to figure. You said you noticed that too, Tanisha. Yeah, I mean a lot, and it's almost scary. It's like people go get in their cars and then they disappear. So I don't know what's going on. It was like that at the end of 2020 when people were getting um, just disappearing. Then that kind of stopped because they were talking about human trafficking and all that stuff again. And now it's like every day that I look in the news in Georgia and all over the world, and it's like somebody's missing. So please be careful. Watch your surroundings. Get you some mace. Get you something that you can like give yourself a little time to get away if that's what's happening. I don't know. I know some people are depressed and may go and take their lives or something like that. But yeah, just be careful. But that's not what we're talking about. We will start in 1 minute on our actual topic. And so we have two topics tonight. Number one, how have you been coping with the pandemic and the death of so many people? Let's discuss and talk about some coping skills, some that you already use, and some that we can talk about on the show tonight. And then number two, so many healthcare workers and other workers are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. What are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about that? And again, we're not here to push the vaccine. We're just here to discuss the topic. And I know everybody has their different opinions. Um, my stance on it, I'm never going to push the vaccine because I don't want you to go get it and then something happens to you. So I'm, you know, I'll stay. That's your decision, but hopefully you'll read up on and research, and we'll get into that topic in a sec. Okay, so we're at our time. So the first question is, how have you been coping with the pandemic and the death of so many people? Let's discuss and talk about some of the coping skills. So this pandemic has been around almost 2 years now. And what I see in my clients and for myself is that once we get over one hill of it, like when it first came, we were all scared to death. I'll speak for myself. I was scared to go outside just to get groceries. I would order instant cart or some other delivery service, get it dropped off at the door, wash everything down, and then bring it in the house. And I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going into the gym. Um, I wasn't even walking outside. I was doing exercise videos at home. I was emotionally eating, which is why I have to work all this weight off that I put on being in the house. And I'm sure some of y'all can agree with that. And so now, when the vaccine came out and we kind of understood how to protect ourselves, then we start getting out a little more and then wearing our mask and staying 6 feet away and, using our hand sanitizer. So now we've gotten to that practice. But then here comes the Delta variant and puts us right back in, it seems like a similar situation like we were initially. And that's depressing. Like that was like, oh my gosh, are we ever going to get out of this? And so that's why I wanted to check in to see where everybody's mindset is. And I will stop talking because I could just go on again about this topic. So Karen says the number of missing people seems to be on a scary, mind blowing tick. Yes, Karen, I don't know what's going on. Be careful out there. And so Tanisha says, I've stopped watching the news and stayed mostly to myself. And that's a good strategy. So that's Tanisha's coping mechanism. If people don't know what coping mechanisms, that's what they are. They're the coping mechanisms are things that you use to help you survive through tough situations. It could be avoiding the news because the news was so negative. It could be taking a doing exercise. It could be taking a bath, whatever, to keep you from focusing on the negativity of the world. Because, like most of us, this pandemic is something we don't understand. It's something that we've never been through. We've never had, like, I know I'll speak for myself. I wasn't here when the Spanish flu happened. I wasn't here when any of those big viruses took place and it changed the world. But I can imagine that it was traumatic for those people too. So now it's our time to go through it, and so we do have to create coping skills for ourselves so that we won't let it start to impact our mental health. Because one thing happens is if you're watching news too much, you're going to increase your anxiety, all of that stuff. So I'll stop talking. What are some of your coping skills? Tanisha gave us one. She said she had to stop watching the news and stayed mostly to herself, which is a good coping mechanism. Anybody else? Anybody else? And Tanisha says, I've also been working out at different gyms that doesn't have too many people in the same room. And that's a good strategy. I did a show for Renee and RC Fitness last week, and we talked about one good coping skill. If you are afraid to go out, a good coping skill is to go places early, like as soon as they open, so you'll avoid crowds. Like I went bowling 2 or 3 Sundays ago, went there at um, 12 o'clock, right as they opened. Me and my friend, we were the only ones in there. We bowled our games, and there was nobody in there, so we were safe. So that's another coping mechanism. Like Tanisha gave us two. She said, number one, you could work out. That's gonna relieve your stress. If you're not comfortable with going to the gym, you can actually take a walk outside. Just stay away from people. Number two, she said she stopped watching the news. That's her other coping mechanism, because watching too much of the news, which is what I did initially, and it increased my anxiety. I say watch 30 minutes of news and then cut it off just to make sure that you're safe. There's no killer outside your door, and then turn it off because I know like CNN just plays the same news over and over again. So you're really just giving yourself more anxiety when you just keep watching it over and over again. So that's good. Anybody else have any coping mechanisms that you want to share with the group that we can all use to help us get through this pandemic? Again, some people are still afraid to go out. They're not going to the gym. They're not going to the grocery store. I'm talking about the necessity things because I'm still not comfortable enough to go to a club or anything. I haven't got myself there yet, but I feel like safe going to the gym because we hang with it's the same group of people that I see that I've known for years. At one point, what people don't realize is that my little group, we were in the gym. It was almost like we had the classroom, the gym to ourselves because people weren't coming. So I didn't announce my classes or anything. But now I feel more safe because I think, we've learned the protective measures of wearing masks and staying 6 feet away from each other. And excuse me, and I spray Lysol to disinfect the room. Hey Mike, what's going on? Hey cousin Polly. Um, hey Tanil, my niece always supporting. Okay, Karen says I avoid the news. That's one of her coping skills, and read what I can stay informed versus the news anchors, excited voices that can make you anxious. Yes, um, and have been working out very very early to avoid crowds. Good. So Karen is doing the same type of coping mechanism, basically. Um, Working out to relieve stress because what is happening too is people are becoming obese, which is going to increase your potential chance of heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, and that is not what you want to do. So that's what I had to outweigh when I was thinking about should I be going back to the gym or not, is my health versus all the other stuff. And Tanisha says, of course, having my music helps. So Tanisha gave us another coping mechanism of playing music. So again, for people who just joined, coping mechanisms are anything that helps you with your mental health during the time of being isolated in the house due to this pandemic. It could be working out, it could be listening to music, taking bubble baths, finding a new home project to work on, some kind of mindfulness activity that helps you not stay stressed with dealing with um, the pandemic. And another thing along with the pandemic is all the deaths that have been happening due to the pandemic, which is so sad. And what's happening now is like this new wave is like taking younger people out of here. Like, and that is really depressing. I don't know about you. When I listen to um, the news and I see, or just social media actually, and it's always a rest in peace. Um, and it seems like it's more than ever. So what else, any other coping mechanisms that people have out there that they want to share with the group? But we've listed a lot of them: music, working out, finding new projects at home or in your apartment, um, anything to keep you focused on the positive and not so much what's going on. And a lot of people, like I said, I've got acclimated to just wearing my mask and wearing my hand sanitizer and staying away from people as much as I can. And yes, and Tanisha says, my best friend just lost her father, possibly to COVID recently. Yes, it's happening, like really, really a lot, and it's real. Like I know some people are still skeptical; they think it's political, but I've had family members who've been through a lot with COVID and it's changed their lives drastically. So it's real and it's doing things to people and it's scary and you just have to be cautious. I don't want us to, like I said in the show that I did last week, um, I don't want us to live in fear. We just have to learn the precautions and how to protect ourselves. And Karen says, I have also taken more time for self care. Perfect, Karen. That's the big word I wanted somebody to say is the self care. That means just doing something to take care of yourself, to make you feel better, to make you not focused on negative things. And Karen says, I started using aromatherapy, using a diffuser, journaling, and doing my art. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Fine. I know Karen. I know for Karen, art is her passion, and so that's what I think people should do. Find something that you're passionate about, and enhance that skill. You know, go find videos to help you create new stuff or things like that. And then Karen also says, I also call to check on people, and they appreciate it, and it feels good doing a good thing too. So perfect, perfect examples of coping skills by Karen. Great job. She listed that last one, which is perfect. Communicating with other people, making sure you're checking in. And if you are stressed yourself, the more you sit at home and not talk to anybody, the more stress and anxiety you'll probably experience. So it's always good to um, make that call or say, hey, Dr. Fred, I need to talk to somebody. Or, call your aunt or your uncle or your sister or your brother or your best friend and say, you know what, I'm really feeling down and low. This pandemic, pandemic has really, really got me feeling some kind of way. And it's okay to talk to somebody. That's perfect. And Tanisha says, been brushing up on my facility maintenance skills at home and at work. Another perfect example of mindfulness, finding a coping skill like that, Tanisha, where you're actually focused on something. Because what anxiety does, it either makes us think about the future, which we can't control, or it makes us think about the past, which we can't control. So a typical anxiety episode looks like this. Oh my God, if I go to the grocery store, I'm gonna die. Oh my God, if I um don't clean my house, the whole entire house with a toothbrush, oh my God, then I'm gonna die. That's anxiety talking. And so we want to make sure that we're not living that way. We want to live based on the facts. We know that it spreads through respiratory drops. The more people you're in contact with, the more potential chances you have of exposing yourself. So you want to wear your mask, especially when you're around people you don't know. You want to try to keep that distance. You want to keep some hand sanitizer with you. Stuff we know now after going into this for 2 years. I just pray that we are at the end of this because I know it is impacting a lot of people's mental health. So I thank Karen and Tanisha for sharing your coping mechanisms so that hopefully everybody can get an idea of what that looks like. And so some for me is, of course, everybody knows working out, starting new projects, shopping online, which I try to stay away from. But I try to find things that are inexpensive that I like and that I can, um, just wear, you know, talking to people, taking a walk outside, exercising. I said that one. Listening to music, writing music, um, art stuff, just doing some doing my 5 signs videos. If you haven't checked those out, check those out. That's a new venture that I started during the pandemic. I actually wrote a whole book during the pandemic. Um, and so I just posted some about that today, but I've been keeping myself busy so that my mind, I don't stay in my head. I try to focus on things that are actually happening. And Tanisha said we can still live our best lives, but cautiously. And that's a great statement, Tanisha. I'm going to put that on the board. We can still live our lives. We can still live our best lives, but cautiously. Yeah, because we can't just continue to live in fear. That's not going to because life is just ticking away. It's just going and going and going, and we can't just continue to do that. And so Karen says, Amen. I have to focus on things that make me happy or on learning something new. My anxiety ticks up if I think about it too much and if I don't keep busy. Yes, Karen, good point as well. Because if you let yourself go and keep thinking about this stuff, you will spiral into these negative thoughts, and it could really, impact your mental health negatively. Good stuff, y'all. Good coping skills. Hopefully, people that are online, you're listening to this. If you have any questions or you need help or you need to talk to somebody, don't hesitate to uh, hit me in my inbox, and we'll chat, and especially if you just need to talk. Like you've been having all this buildup of things and you feel overwhelmed. That's what happens to most people. Because guess what? This is the biggest thing that I think people feel. Like we haven't um you know how you try to do something but you keep getting forced down and not being able to do it. That's been our lives for 2 years, almost 2 years now, that hey, we want to do this thing, but then we get pushed down. And once we get back up and we think we're okay and we try to take another step and then we get pushed down, that's frustrating, that's depressing. And so if you're feeling that way, make sure you're talking to somebody, a friend, any support system. A support system can be anybody. It could be your family, friends, associates, anybody that is has a ear they can listen. Tennille Karen says, hello. Okay. So let's get to our number two because I've talked. I feel like I was talking on that. I can talk on that stuff forever. Okay. So number two, um, this is a hot topic right now. So I know there's mixed feelings on this, but I want to know what you guys think about it. Okay. Okay, and Tanisha says, I'll be going out of town soon. It'll be the first time since the pandemic began. And I'm glad you're doing that, Tanisha. And I didn't mean to post that on that. But yeah, it's like you said in your previous statement, is just be cautious. Like I went to Florida maybe 2 months ago now, and I just made sure we stayed away from people, wore my mask, had my sanitizer, and all of that stuff. So we can still talk about number one, but we jump into topic number two, and that is so many healthcare workers and other workers are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. And I'm talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. And they're losing their jobs and because they don't want to get vaccinated. What are your thoughts? And is this fair? I want to know your thoughts. So New York, and I looked up these statistics, and I think California are two of the states, and there's probably more. Two of the states that have um, enforced like mandates. For New York, they started Monday, 9/27. 92% of the state's more than 650,000 hospitals and nursing uh, home workers had received at least one vaccine dose. Uh, and what they were worried about in New York is that the staff, they may have short staff because some of these people will get fired if they don't get vaccinated. And so the plan is to have the National Guard come in and fill that shortage for them. Um, and so there's some lawsuits out there. People are filing lawsuits, angry protesters, and some of the lawsuits are people feel like their First Amendment rights are not being honored, and then some people have lawsuits because they're saying that this is a religious thing, that's why they don't want to do it. But New York has no leeway in their mandate. Like California, you can be exempt if it's a religious reason, but New York has no exemptions. And then some people believe, and this is the first time I read this, is that cell lines derived from fetuses aborted decades ago were used to create the vaccine. I don't know where that came from. Look that up for yourselves. I don't. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. So, what do you guys think about this situation? It's a tough situation. Again, like I said earlier, I'm not here to be for the vaccine. If that's not what you want to do, that's your option. My feeling is I don't want to tell somebody to go get it and then something happens to them and then I feel like I did that. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? So Karen says I would not feel comfortable if I were in a position to have to mandate vaccines. And why, Karen? What's your explanation on it? Um, why do you feel you wouldn't feel comfortable if you were in a position to have to mandate the vaccine? But what I did want to talk about is that um, we, I won't say we all, but most people got vaccines when they were babies because you had to get all that series of shots. And I am vaccinated. I've actually had the booster as well. And what I found the other day, I was talking to the pharmacist. When I smelled the vaccine when she was giving me the vaccine, and it was just reminiscent of my childhood when I was a baby in there getting that vaccine, and it just made me think, hey, I've done this when I was a baby. Um, but I get the fear. I get all of that. So Tanisha says, I am not sold on getting vaccinated, and I have my reasons. Just been keeping my mask on, keeping my distance, being mindful of my actions, and keep stacking my money just in case any craziness starts with my job. And that's your prerogative, Tanisha, to not want to get vaccinated. Again, like I said, we're not here to change that on anybody's idea. I like to hear different perspectives. Um, Tanisha, would you like to elaborate on why? Is there a fear? Is you just don't trust it? You don't have to get into details of your personal stuff, but is there a fear, or is it that you don't trust it? Just want to hear that perspective. And anybody else out there, like I've gotten it. I did my own research. After I researched, I was comfortable with going to get it. And that's why I did it. But again, I'm not here to push that, but I want to hear everybody's perspective and not here to criticize anybody's perspective. Na, na, la, pop, pop, pop. Yeah. And so I'll talk about my experience with the vaccine until everybody else comes in and gives me their perspective. I've had all three vaccines and a flu vaccine actually. The first shot, I didn't feel anything. I It just made my arm sore. I went and worked out. I was fine. Number two, the second shot, I was a little tired. Um, and just like flu-like symptoms. And then the third one hit me like a truck. But I think it's because I had the flu shot because the booster is the same shot. It's the same two shots. It's just the third one. Um, and Tanisha says, I don't trust it. My mother had surgery due to the vaccine. Got it. So for Tanisha, it's just a lack of trust of the vaccine. And I get that. I get that. Anybody else's opinion. And I just went through my process of researching. I realized that it wasn't the active COVID-19 that they were injecting in your body. It's actually what they call a mRNA, a modified encoding viral uh, spike glycoprotein of SARS-CoV-2. And my understanding is that they were working on the SARS vaccine before COVID came. So all they had to do was start adding more research to that, and um, that's why it came up. That's why we have it now. And this is just my understanding. If anybody else has any contradictions to this, please let me know because I'm not acting like an expert. But That's why I felt comfortable with it. And because I knew they were working on it previously, it wasn't something that they just whipped together and then started injecting the people. Because COVID is a part of SARS, the SARS virus, and they were already implementing that. They were already working on that before COVID came. And so, what people don't realize, the older people, is that, yeah, back in the day, it took a longer time to create vaccines, but we have so much technology. We have so much more than what the scientists had back in the day. So, of course, now the vaccines may be faster. There's a lot of things we do faster. We use microwaves, it cooks food faster. We use, what else is faster than it used to be back in the day, but it doesn't make that wrong. And so I do want people to investigate this for themselves, to do your research and hold on to your beliefs. Like I said, Tanisha says, I haven't been sick, knock on wood, and I've been working in the middle of all this since May of 2020 at the gym. And that's true, Tanisha, and I can vouch for you because you have, because you're always beside me. The handsome brother over here, you're always beside me. No, I'm just kidding. So, but it does impact people differently. And I still haven't, that's one thing that puzzles me, is how some people get it and get really sick and die, and some people don't. I still, that's one thing that puzzles me, and that is, kind of scary, is that how can some people get it and die? Like, I had a family member who got it, and they were in the hospital for months, and it just changed their lives totally. And so, and then I had a nurse, a Zumba friend who's a nurse, who was just giving me all the details of how COVID attacks your body and your organs and shuts things down. And that was just fearful for me. So I did want to do the research on the vaccine. So Karen says, people don't want to get the vaccine for their personal reasons. Yes. And some people are genuinely scared and have religious reasons for not getting the vaccine. I agree, Karen. Um, Yes, they do, and there's a lot of court cases in New York because these people were, excuse me, fighting against getting the vaccine. Some of them said they felt like it was against their First Amendment rights, and some of them said they felt like because they had COVID, that immunity should help them not have to get the vaccine, but the doctors don't believe that works. So that's the problem with the immunity and herd immunity, theory, is that, you know you get herd immunity, but the thing with COVID is that you can keep getting it over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the scary part, because what if one of those times is not a good end result? And that's the fear on that piece. And then a lot of court cases are about the religion exemption, and then, like I said, the First Amendment rights. Um, yeah, so I get it, and it's on your own personal opinion. Like, I've come to terms with what it is for me. Tanisha came to terms for what it is for her, and Karen came to terms with what it means to her, and that's okay. See, we all three of us have different opinions about it, different reactions, and that's okay. I'm not trying to change anybody's stance, because again, I don't want anybody for me to say, uh go get it, and then something happens to you. I ain't doing it. Tanisha says, but for me, forced vaccinations just don't sit well with me. Um, yeah, but and see, Tanisha, I guess I have a different perspective on that, as far as, and not trying to change your mind, as far as healthcare workers, because you're in direct contact with COVID, and if this thing is proven to not send you to the hospital, or you're in, a friend of mine was telling me about nurses that were in the, where babies are born, and they didn't want to get it, but it's like you could pass that to that baby. So I don't know if the best thing or the best option for, like, healthcare workers, and I hate to say this, is that you may have to get out of the field, because you're actually in the front line of dealing with people with COVID, and you're putting yourself in danger, and then you're also, potentially putting, you know those other people in danger, but you're in the front line. So that's the thing for me, because there's a lot of, and to your point, Tanisha, there's a lot of uh, vaccinations that we have to get for jobs, like the TB, the tuberculosis shot. That was a requirement for some jobs that I applied for, but there was no big fuss about it. We have to kind of think that way, that there are vaccinations that, especially if you're in the health field, if you're in, I don't know if the gyms require TB tests or any of that, but some jobs that I applied for in the past, I had to go get that, some kind of shot, a flu shot or something, which is up to that company because they're a private business. Okay, Karen says this week got seriously dehydrated, and then this week I got seriously dehydrated in an aerobics class. Once I got water, I was fine. There were two people who asked me if I was vaccinated. It didn't occur to me the people watching were triggered by me looking sick. They actually thought I might be contagious. Yeah, Karen, and see, that's the fear. That's the fear that's out there. And that's why I'm trying not to take sides. I'm trying to do my research for myself to make myself feel comfortable. But I get it because we don't know the impact of the vaccine, all the ins and outs of it. What I was looking for online is, and I'm getting, my throat is getting dry. The people that have died from any vaccines, not just the COVID vaccine, they've had allergic reactions. It wasn't, and that's why you have to know that about your body and yourself, and talk to your doctor before you go get any vaccine. That's anything. That's even any medication that you're popping into your body. You need to check with your doctor to make sure that there's not going to be any side effects. I was taking something several years ago, some medicine, and I had a bad allergic reaction to the pill. And I didn't know that that was going to do that to me. So it's with anything. But if you're fearful and you are considering getting the vaccine and you're just fearful, go talk to a doctor, because I'm definitely not that type of doctor. I'm a PhD, but I'm not a medical doctor. And so I think if you have any kind of fear, anybody listening out there in YouTube land or Facebook land, and you have questions, the best thing that you can do is just talk to your medical doctor, your physician, and get information, especially if all these jobs start requiring it to be done. And because eventually, what if all jobs require, and your end result is this? So it's best to go get your information, go get research um, on these vaccines. And like I said, with me, the only results, and this is just me because everybody reacts to the vaccines differently, is that I had pain in my arm, a little soreness. It was really sore, just tiredness, some muscle cramps, chills, fever. Felt like I had the flu, but that was it, and then it was gone. But like a lot of people are worried about later down the road, um, what will happen. A lot of people are scared to take the flu shot, and I've been taking the flu shot for about 10 years, and I haven't had any like negative reactions to that. But my body is different than yours, and your body is different than mine, which is why I'm not pushing this on anybody. um, I like the fact that Tanisha is standing her ground, and she is going with what she feels, and I'm not trying to change that. Karen's standing her ground for what she feels about the vaccine. I'm standing my ground for what I feel about the vaccine, and that's okay, right? Again, Dr. Dare Show is not here to. We just like to have conversations. So if you're just joining, welcome. We have covered. I didn't summarize my show. We went over two things. The first question, we talked about how are you actually coping with the pandemic and all of that stuff, right? And so we gave our coping skills. We're working out, we're listening to music, we're finding our passion, we're learning new activities, we're taking bubble baths, we're not watching the news so much, So those are how we're coping with the pandemic until, pray to God, this thing is over soon. And then number two, we're on this question right now, is so many healthcare workers and other workers are losing their jobs because they don't want to get vaccinated. What are your thoughts? We had people who um, don't trust the vaccine, and they had their negative experiences with it and within their family, so they don't trust it. And we honor that. We appreciate that. And then there's some people who did research and they have the vaccine and they're okay with it. But the bottom line is like Tanisha said and like Karen said, is protect yourself, wear your mask, keep keep your 6 feet distance, um, hand sanitizer. Don't go places where you don't feel comfortable. Like, if there's still places I'm not comfortable going, and I'm not going. I won't let people pressure me into that. I quietly and calmly resign it, and that's okay. Yeah, and Karen says I had to do research for myself because I am allergic to flu shots. I got my COVID vaccine from a nurse in a small clinic with doctors present. I don't push it on anyone. And Karen, I remember that fear, and I appreciated that, and that you went to a doctor to make sure that, hey, when I get this, I'm in the presence of a doctor so they can handle me and take care of me and monitor me. And so that's good. But I still get the fear from people, and it's okay. Any more thoughts on this? Because we're on the 46 minute, and I feel like I just been talking. And Tanisha, did you catch that handsome brother? And Karen says, I'm glad I work from home. Thinking about working on site makes me anxious. And Karen, I do go in the office. I go in the office for the private practice that I work for, to see clients face to face, and at home too. I work majority at home though. My full time job is at home. Therapist stuff is in the office, and I just protected myself because we did have a therapist in one of the offices actually die of COVID, and they weren't vaccinated, and that was scary for me. Um, but yeah, because we're seeing different people, we're face to face with people, seeing them for an hour while they talk about their problems and stuff like that. So anything else before we end this great stuff, great coping skills? If you didn't get anything else out of that, hopefully you got coping skills to help you manage with dealing with COVID. You are not alone. If you feel like you're struggling, you're having suicidal ideation, anxiety, depression, stress, make sure you call somebody, talk to them. You have a support system. Make sure you find, you know, you can listen to. Thank you, Karen, for bringing that up. Uh, love the five signs videos. Take a listen to some of the five sign videos. They can help you with coping skills. They can help you manage through some of the stuff. We're all human, and we're all going through the same things at one point or the other. I hope anybody doesn't think those videos are judgmental, or me thinking I'm better than anybody. Actually, when I'm doing some of them, I'm talking to myself as well. And so I want people to get that when they're listening to those five signs. It's not just me just spitting out information. It's usually when I'm writing them, I'm thinking about, oh, I just went through that, and so it's something that I had to learn, but now I put it out there. And what I'm finding is that most people who listen to them, they can relate to the situations or the scenarios that I'm talking about. So those are what the five signs videos are about. And I'm getting dehydrated. Tanisha says, I'd say work on keeping your immune system in check. Good point, Tanisha. Yeah, that's another thing, which is why I started working out. Taking care of your immune system, taking care of vitamins, staying clean, cleaning your house, um, making sure you're washing those hands after all interactions with anything. I don't suggest wearing gloves because I think that makes you feel more comfortable to touch your face and all of that stuff. We did a call with RC Fitness last Sunday, and it was a nurse on there that works in the cancer center, and she was like, she wouldn't recommend you wearing gloves on a daily basis because the point of wearing gloves in a hospital is that the nurses, they'll wear one set of gloves, do something, throw those gloves away, put on another set, do something else, throw those gloves away, put on. So if you're not doing that when you're wearing gloves, you're contaminating yourself. If you're just wearing the same gloves all day, no bueno. That's not good. You should be changing your gloves. That's why I never wore gloves. I'm like, I feel more comfortable just washing my hands because that's why you see in the hospital they have tons, big boxes of gloves just to throw, to dispose of them every time they touch something. And that's how, if you go to the grocery store, you pick up rice in a bag, you throw that glove. This is what you're supposed to do: throw those sets of gloves away, then put on a new set of gloves, and you touch something else, take those gloves off, dispose them, and who's going to do that? It's best go in there, touch the stuff, put it in the grocery store, check out, go out, put hand sanitizer on your hands. When you get home, thoroughly wash your hands. The gloves just give you false security. It gives you false security. So that's just another tip I want that I got from the uh, show I did last Sunday with RC Fitness and Renee and Brian. So anyway, we're done. We've talked for 50 minutes. Um, yeah, Karen, keeping your house clean, like, and spraying Lysol. Like, I disinfect my house probably every other day, but I make sure I'm wiping down counters with my mixture of bleach and dishwashing liquid, and sanitizing and keeping things clean because you never know. You might have went out that night before and came back and touched something, and now you've touched everything in your house. And I think the more layers you keep adding to this Delta variant, that's how it's it can spread. But anyway, great stuff, y'all. Thank y'all for listening. I don't want to keep y'all much longer. Great talk. I will talk to y'all next Friday. If you have topic ideas, send them to me. This is one I wanted to just kind of recap on what's going on with the COVID and pandemic and all of that stuff. But have a great night. Like I said, if you want a Dr. Dare shirt, check out my Facebook page or YouTube page, not YouTube, Facebook or Instagram pages, or just send me a inbox, and they're $20. My nephew designed them, and they're cute, and yeah. And then Duartis designed the one with me with the ball head on. So either way, if you want one, just check them out. All right, bye y'all. Thanks Tanisha. Thanks Karen. Thank y'all for sharing. I will talk to y'all on the road. See you tomorrow, Karen. Bye.